The story unfolds in Los Angeles in 1992 during a time of social and racial tension. Mercer, a man navigating complicated circumstances, receives a call from Child Protection Services. He has recently been granted conditional custody of his son, Antoine. Despite the strained relationship between them, Mercer is determined to take on this responsibility. After the call, he heads to Antoine's room to wake him up for school.
Antoine, wake up, man. It's time for school.
Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a man named Riggin meets his friend Copeland. Riggin proposes one final heist. He believes this will be their chance to leave behind a life of crime. Back at house, Mercer prepares breakfast for Antoine. However, Antoine refuses to eat and remains distant. Tension fills the air between father and son. The radio in the background reports troubling news. A trial involving Rodney King is all over the headlines. King, a black man, was beaten by a white police officer and several colleagues.
The 4 police officers who were videotaped repeatedly beating an unarmed man.
The case sparks outrage and grabs the attention of the black community. Mercer tries to connect with Antoine. He hopes to close the emotional distance between them, but Antoine, still angry, demands answers. He accuses Mercer of abandoning him during his childhood. He also says Mercer was absent when his mother had the accident. Mercer listens at first. He takes in Antoine's anger. But things get worse when Antoine mutters an insult under his breath. Mercer, frustrated by the disrespect, raises his voice.
You gonna respect me?
He sets a strict curfew for Antoine. He tells him the unrest surrounding the Rodney King case is why it's necessary. Meanwhile, Riggin picks up his brother, Dennis. They head to see their father, Lowell, a man known for his harsh ways.
This Friday night at Bob's.
Is he ready?
Yep.
Riggin uses the visit to explain their planned heist. He wants to show Dennis that the plan can work. In another part of town, Mercer visits a grocery store. While shopping, he notices a group of young thugs harassing the Asian cashier. Their behavior unsettles him. He steps forward and speaks calmly, asking them to stop bothering the woman.
So watch your mouth.
Watch your fucking mouth, nigga.
But instead of backing down, the thugs become aggressive. One of them pulls out a gun and presses it against Mercer's head. Before the situation gets worse, an older man named DeVille intervenes. He pulls the thugs back and scolds them harshly for their actions. He reminds them of Mercer's importance to the community in the past. Realizing their mistake, DeVille apologizes to Mercer directly. During the conversation, DeVille asks Mercer when he was released from prison. Mercer replies calmly.
6 months ago.
6 months?
He says he was released 6 months ago and is now living a quiet life, trying to start over. At the same time, Riggin takes his father to a factory. He lays out the details of a high-stakes heist targeting a safe filled with $10 million worth of platinum. Riggin confidently explains the plan. He shares layouts and insider tips provided by a source at the factory. He describes the safe as solid and protected by an advanced alarm system. If the alarm goes off, a metal cage locks the safe completely. This makes accessing it almost impossible. Riggin presents his plan with confidence, but his father still has doubts.
This is just out of our league. It's just over our heads.
He thinks the plan is too ambitious. He questions how they can get past the factory's tight security and multiple surveillance cameras. The dismissive remarks from his father deepen his frustration. However, Riggin stays silent. Without starting an argument, he drives Lowell back home. Meanwhile, Mercer is also at the factory. He works there and is seen collecting his access card and keys. At the security checkpoint, he talks briefly with Joseph, the head of security. Their conversation touches on the Rodney King trial. Joseph shares his concerns about rising tensions in the community. He predicts chaos if the jury rules against the black victim. Mercer begins his shift, and the story shifts back to Riggin and Dennis. Riggin is still disappointed by their father's rejection of the plan. Despite this, Dennis stays by his brother's side. He provides support and helps Riggin stay focused. Later that day, breaking news reports the jury's decision. The officers involved in the Rodney King case are declared not guilty. The verdict shocks the black community and sparks outrage. Protests break out across Los Angeles. The situation escalates rapidly, leading to widespread violence and chaos. Antoine comes straight home from school. He is shocked when he sees the riots spreading near their neighborhood. A liquor store is being looted nearby. Inside the house, the television shows scenes of the unrest. The footage highlights the massive scale of the protests. At the same time, Riggin watches the news. He notices the police struggling to handle the riots. It strikes him as the perfect moment to carry out the heist while law enforcement is distracted. Seizing the opportunity, Riggin calls his father. To his surprise, his father agrees to proceed with the plan.
Yeah, no one minding the store.
Meanwhile, Mercer and the other factory workers are sent home early for their safety. The management advises them to avoid the unrest and stay safe. Riggin soon hears from his source at the factory. The source tells him that staff is reduced and security is lighter than usual. Seeing this as the ideal opportunity, Rigan gathers Dennis and quickly moves to execute their plan.
Every one of those officers from the chief down to the newest rookie.
On their way, they stop at Copeland's house to pick him up. Copeland's wife, who is heavily pregnant, worries about his involvement. He tries to reassure her and urges her to stay safe inside the house before leaving with the crew. Back at the factory, Mercer grows increasingly worried about Antoine's safety. He explains to Joseph, the head of security, that his home is in a mostly black neighborhood, and with the riots happening, the area has become very dangerous. Joseph understands Mercer's concern. He agrees to let Mercer and Antoine stay inside the factory for safety.
If you and your son want to join me, I'll be all right with company.
Meanwhile, Rigan goes to pick up his father. He notices that his father has brought 2 hired thugs for protection. Rigan, already stressed, becomes frustrated with his father's choices. At the same time, Mercer navigates the chaotic streets. Rioters are everywhere. He is looking for Antoine. When he gets home, he finds the house empty. He immediately starts searching for his son. Rigan's team moves forward with the plan. Dennis drives the van to the factory. Inside, Joseph feels bored while watching the surveillance cameras. He decides to take a walk and patrol the building. Outside, Rigan tases and restrains the only security guard at the entrance. The crew drives their van straight through the factory's main entrance. Believing the building is empty, they confidently head through the loading docks. Their assumption proves wrong. They come across Joseph standing near a vending machine. Rigan tries to keep the situation calm. He asks Joseph to move aside and avoid trouble.
You fellas picked the wrong place to rob.
But before Rigan can de-escalate, one of his father's hired thugs acts impulsively and shoots Joseph. Rigan threatens the thug in retaliation. The thug, unshaken, counters with his own threat. The confrontation nearly spirals out of control until Lowell intervenes. He reminds them all of their shared goal, the platinum they came to steal. With tempers somewhat cooled, the thugs disable the factory's phone lines and surveillance systems. They then use a forklift to reach the safe room and begin setting up their equipment to crack the safe. In the midst of all this, Mercer finally finds Antoine. He spots him standing still outside a grocery store, being looted by local rioters. Furious and relieved at the same time, Mercer grabs Antoine by the collar and pulls him away from the chaos. Without saying much, he leads him to the car. At the factory, the thugs begin drilling into the safe with determination. Unbeknownst to them, Joseph regains consciousness despite his injuries. Summoning his remaining strength, he drags himself to the security panel and presses the emergency button. This triggers the mechanism that starts lowering the metal cage around the safe. Rigan reacts quickly and drives the forklift forward to block the cage from sealing completely. In the chaos, Copeland accidentally gets his leg caught under the forklift's front tire. The weight crushes his leg, causing him immense pain. Rigan panics and tries to reverse the forklift to free his friend. However, his father coldly refuses. He insists that reversing the forklift would cause the cage to drop and ruin their entire heist.
You ain't getting him out from under the forklift.
Frustrated and angry, Rigan lashes out at his father. He shouts curses at him, blaming him for always being selfish and unhelpful. In response, Lowell orders the thugs to steal the forklift's keys. This makes sure Rigan cannot reverse it. Meanwhile, the alarm triggered by Joseph reaches the authorities. An air patrol helicopter is sent to investigate the situation at the factory. On the other hand, Antoine tries to escape from car. He runs toward the ongoing protests. He feels the urge to join the chaos. Mercer quickly pulls him back into the car. He stops him firmly. Mercer explains that violence is not the answer to problems that have lasted for so long. He tries to make Antoine see that the protests are only harming their own community. The protests are playing into what the authorities expect. Back at the factory, the thugs disable the alarm by cutting the remaining system connections. To make sure Joseph won't interface again, they shoot him once more, this time fatally. With Joseph out of the way, they continue their efforts to crack the safe. Mercer and Antoine come across a disturbing scene. A group of black men is terrorizing an innocent white couple. Mercer pulls over, gets out of the car and steps in. He uses force to subdue the group and helps the couple escape. He urges them to leave quickly and ensures their safety before returning to his car. Back at the factory, the robbers prepare to use all their resources to blow open the safe. However, their plan comes to an abrupt pause as a chopper flies above them. The helicopter officers scan the area around the factory but find nothing suspicious. Believing the place to be quiet, they decide to fly away. Meanwhile, Mercer and Antoine are stopped by police officers enforcing the curfew. The officers behave with prejudice. They pull Mercer and Antoine out of the car and search them without reason.
Shut up.
Though they find nothing incriminating, the officers release them without apologizing. The experience shakes Antoine. He witnesses the blatant indifference and mistreatment firsthand. Back at the factory, the robbers open the safe with explosives. Inside, they find the platinum. It makes them millionaires instantly. Riggin steps away to prepare the van for their escape. Dennis goes to the bathroom to clean the blood off his hands after the incident with Copeland. Around the same time, Mercer arrives at the factory with Antoine. As they approach, Mercer notices the main security guard is missing. This feels unusual to him. Despite his suspicions, he enters the building and tells Antoine to go to the bathroom, since the boy mentions he needs to use it. Inside, Antoine's sudden appearance startles Dennis. He instinctively points a gun at him. Meanwhile, Mercer finds Joseph's lifeless body. Shocked and angry, Mercer grabs Joseph's gun and moves cautiously through the factory. Soon the thugs spot Mercer and open fire. He narrowly escapes and begins searching for Antoine. However, he realizes his son is now missing. Desperate, Mercer rushes to the loading dock and shuts off the power to gain an advantage over the thugs. Using the chaos, Mercer engages one of the thugs. He overpowers him and knocks him out. Then Mercer runs back to the loading dock. There he sees Riggin trying to park the van for the getaway. Mercer ambushes Riggin and knocks him unconscious with one punch. He drags Riggin away to interrogate him. Meanwhile, Dennis takes Antoine to his father. Lowell questions Antoine in front of Copeland. Copeland is in great pain after losing his leg, which had to be amputated. His cries grow louder with every passing second. Mercer wants to understand the robbers' plans. He questions Riggin, but gets no useful information. Mercer starts to piece things together. He realizes they want the platinum. He sneaks into the safe room and sees Lowell threatening his son. Copeland's screams become too much for Lowell to bear. In a cruel act, he shoots Copeland several times, killing him. This brutal act leaves Dennis and Antoine in shock. Antoine convinces Lowell that he only came to the factory to find his missing father, who works there. His explanation, along with his sincerity, moves Lowell enough to let him go unharmed. Unfortunately, the thugs return at the worst possible time. They report to Lowell that someone has taken Riggin. Angered by the news, Lowell becomes suspicious of Antoine.
Hey, Crenshaw, stop!
He calls the boy back and accuses him of lying about his father. His anger rises quickly. He decides to use Antoine as bait to get Riggin. To keep the boy from escaping, he keeps Antoine close and sends the thugs to check on the van. The thugs inspect the vehicle and discover that the van's rotor is missing, making it immobile. Meanwhile, Mercer escapes from the safe room. He tries to signal a patrolling helicopter for help. Despite his desperate attempts to wave it down, the helicopter flies away without noticing him. Mercer gathers himself. Suddenly, one of the thugs ambushes him from behind. A fierce fight breaks out. The thug demands the stolen rotor, knowing it is needed to get the van running again. Mercer refuses. He retaliates, and the fight escalates. Mercer manages to grab his weapon and shoots the thug. The impact sends the thug crashing through the safe room's glass roof. He lands lifelessly in front of Lowell and Antoine. Mercer quickly returns to Riggin and unties him. He sees the beaten and restrained man and feels some sympathy. Mercer understands the pain of having a father so heartless. He reveals a shocking truth. Lowell just killed a black member of his team in front of his son. Riggin realizes it must have been Copeland, his close friend. The revelation turns him against his father. Meanwhile, Lowell and another thug pour acid over the vault, various items in the room. The chemicals destroy any evidence. They pack the platinum bars into bags and prepare for their escape. They finalize their plans and begin moving out. Elsewhere, Dennis sits down with Antoine. He tries to gather information, asking Antoine if he knows where Riggin might be. Antoine swears he doesn't know anything. Lowell realizes time is running out. He communicates with Mercer over the radio and proposes a deal. Mercer must come to the loading dock for an exchange, unarmed. Riggin quickly warns Mercer that this is a trap. He explains that his father never leaves witnesses alive. Antoine's presence makes him a target. Understanding the stakes, Mercer creates a counterplan. He convinces Riggin to cooperate. At the loading docks, Dennis loads the platinum into the van. Lowell retrieves the van's rotor and quickly fixes it. The van can now start. However, Lowell's intentions turn darker. He decides to shoot Antoine for revenge. This is because Mercer killed one of his thugs earlier. The situation escalates fast. However, Mercer acts swiftly. He pushes Riggin toward the van for cover and opens fire. A chaotic shootout follows. During this chaos, Dennis is hit by a stray bullet. Despite being shot, Dennis helps load the remaining platinum into the van. Riggin steps in to assist him. Meanwhile, Mercer and Antoine manage to get into the driver's seat. They drive off with the van and the platinum, leaving chaos behind. Lowell, full of greed and anger, steals Mercer's car near the factory gate. He is joined by his remaining thug, and they start chasing the van relentlessly. The chase continues. Dennis succumbs to his injuries in Riggin's arms. The loss devastates Riggin. He is filled with rage and sorrow. In his heartbreak, Riggin opens the van door. He begins shooting at his father. Lowell's thug retaliates and shoots Riggin in the chest. Despite the pain, Riggin fights on. He uses his last strength to shoot and kill the thug. Riggin then collapses from his wound. The gunshots distract Mercer and Antoine. They lose control of the van. It crashes violently, leaving the vehicle destroyed. The platinum spills onto the ground, scattered. Lowell arrives at the scene. He surveys the aftermath. His eyes fall on the platinum, now lost to him. He sees Riggin, barely clinging to life. In a rare moment of regret, Lowell approaches his son. He apologizes for failing as a father. However, the apology turns cruel. He shoots Riggin in the head, ending his life. Hearing the commotion, Mercer begins dragging himself out of the wrecked van. Lowell notices him and approaches with his gun, prepared to finish the job. But before he can pull the trigger, Antoine shoots him from behind. Afterwards, Mercer hugs Antoine tightly. They are overwhelmed by relief. They just survived horrors. Together, they climb into a remaining car and drive away.